Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Scyther, and welcome to episode 1 of my brand new Roblox development series, Intro to UI. Inside of this beginner-friendly series, I'll be going over everything that you need to know to get yourself started making your own UI on Roblox. One quick disclaimer before we get started is that I am not the best at making UI, but I am trying to teach you guys everything that I know personally so that one day you'll be better than me at it. Now, as you guys can see, this is my very first video uploaded to this channel. So if you guys have any suggestions on how I can improve or any of that jazz, please leave a comment down below. And without further ado, let's get started. Now, what is UI, you may ask? UI stands for user interface, and essentially it's all of those 2D images that you're going to see on your screen whenever you're playing a game, such as this little sword icon down here, the diamonds, if you have like a pet UI, an inventory UI. It's all of the stuff that's displaying on your screen that isn't actually built into the world. Now, inside of episode 1, I essentially want to touch up on all of the different elements that go into building UI. And to get started, what I want you to do is I want you to go to Starter GUI inside of your Explorer, and I want you to insert yourself a screen GUI. And the way that you would do that is you just click on Starter GUI, find this little plus sign, tap that, and then insert a screen GUI. Now, what you can do is you can click on that screen GUI, hit the plus sign again, and you'll be able to see all of the different elements that go into building a UI here at the top mostly. And this isn't actually all of them, but the most commonly used ones are going to be up here. So I'll be going over each one of those, as well as some of the other elements that are going to be located somewhere down the line over here, such as aspect ratio, UI corners, gradients, padding, scale, all of this good stuff down here. Now, any UI that you ever make, everything is always going to go inside of a screen GUI. So we're going to be starting off with adding a frame to it. Now, what a frame is going to be is it's literally just going to be a square. What you do with a square is going to be completely up to you. Of course, you can manipulate it in all sorts of different ways, which we'll be getting to later. But I just wanted to show you what a frame looks like. And if you click on it, you can also drag it. When you click on it, if it doesn't get selected, like right here, I'm clicking on it and it's not getting selected, just right click. And at the very top, there'll be a select UI layer frame. That will select the frame for you. So now you can click and drag it around however you want. But yeah, episode 2, we'll be going over all the different properties on what are inside of a frame, but we'll get to that later. This episode is literally just going to be going over the different elements that go into building the UI, not actually how to build it quite yet. The next UI element that we're going to be inserting is going to be a text button. Now, what do you think a text button is? You guessed it. It's a button with some text on it. When you click on it, it probably does something. So yeah, that's a text button. We can just get rid of that and we'll go into the next item. What do we have here? We have a text label. Text label. This is any kind of text that you're trying to display that is not a button. That is what a text label is. Next we can get a image label. Image labels are basically just an image. So if you want to upload an image, display something on screen like the diamond from earlier or a treasure chest or whatever you really want it to be, that is what you're going to be doing with an image label. Next, we have here a text box. Now, text box is kind of like a text label, but as you can see, when you click on the box, you can actually start entering text. So this is useful for, say, you have a one of those like creator codes or like what are they called? The bonus codes that you can upload to any of your games, like type in this code, receive a reward. That's what text boxes are useful for. You can make those with that. And then lastly, here in the frequently used, we are going to have ImageButton. So what is ImageButton? It's kind of like TextButton, except this is going to be an image instead. So now you want that treasure chest picture to function as a button instead of just being an image that has no interactability with it. Then you would use an ImageButton to accomplish that. So now we're going to go into some of the less used UI elements, and the way that we find those is, again, we're just going to click the plus sign on Screen GUI. We are going to scroll down until we can see the category change from whatever it is here, like animations, avatar. We're looking for GUI, and we'll find that right down here. So yeah, BillboardGui. What is a BillboardGui? So BillboardGui is a little different because it's actually going to be displayed inside of 3D space, just like this part is inside of the world, and you insert them into 3D elements inside of the game. So we're going to click that part and we're going to insert a billboard GUI, It's kind of functions the same way as a screen GUI, where it holds UI elements inside of it, except it displays it inside of 3D space. So as you can see, this frame that I inserted into BillboardGui is actually inside of this part now. If we make the part transparent, you'll actually be able to see it better. And yeah, that's how you would display a UI element inside of 3D space. Again, it's literally just a rectangle that looks pretty bad, but you can do a lot with those. They're pretty cool. Now, nextly, we have CanvasGroup, which honestly I've never used before, but upon reading on it just for a brief second, it looks like everything that you do to the canvas group will reflect on the things within it. So for example, we're going to make this text label here. You can't really see it very well, but we're going to change the color to red so you can kind of see it a little bit better. And what we're going to do is change inside the canvas group the group color to say green. And now you can see it changes the text label as well. So it's kind of interesting. So if you want to like change everything to be like a red hue or something, then I guess that's what you would use the canvas group for. But personally, I've never used it. And if you want to read more about any of these elements, all you got to do is just go into Google, type in the element name, for example, canvas group, and then type in Roblox documentation. And you can do all of your own independent reading on any of these elements if I don't go over it well enough or you want to learn more about it. But yeah, canvas group, it's interesting. Next, we have ourselves something called Path 2D, which is also something that I've personally never used, as this is actually a new feature. But I believe that this is essentially 2D pathfinding for UI elements, which is really cool. So I haven't used one of these before, but I'm assuming that you can do something like have a box, like a frame. Like if we were to insert a frame right here, we can have this frame start from right here, and it'll slowly move across the path 2D that we assigned for it, which is again pretty neat. I haven't used it before, but it's definitely something to do a little bit more research into and learn. The next element that we have is ScrollingFrame. So what is a ScrollingFrame? It's kind of like a frame. It's going to appear as a white box, just like a regular frame, except this one has a scroll bar on it. So what do you think you can do? Yes, you can make it scroll. So if we were to insert a couple frames inside of here, like this one, make this one red so you can actually see it. As you can see, we can scroll up and down the wheel. And yeah, it's a scrolling frame. So it's just a scroll wheel, really. Now, the next element that we have coming up is going to be the UI aspect ratio element. Now, this one I personally don't really use, but I know it's useful. It tries to keep whatever UI you made consistent with the aspect ratio of the monitor that the player or the person is playing the game on, because everybody plays on a different size monitor. You got computer screens, you got tablets, you got phone screens. And it tries to make the UI size consistent with whatever screen size the person is playing on. But you can accomplish this usually by just using scale when you're sizing elements, which we'll get into in the next episode. So I personally don't really use it, but I would still read up on it because I know a lot of games do use it. But that's what it does. It tries to keep the size consistent with whatever screen the person's on. The next element will be UICorner. Now UICorner is pretty good. So we're going to insert a frame real quick. And as you can see, this frame is a square. It has some pretty sharp edges. But if we insert a UICorner inside of that frame, then you'll have rounded edges. And you can even make them more round by changing properties, which again, I should be saving for the next episode. But as you can see, it changes the corners to be more round whenever you change the corner radius over here. After that, we have UIGridLayout, which is pretty cool. So we're going to make this frame a little bit larger, like this. And we're going to insert some other frames inside of the frame, and we'll make those frames a different color so you can actually see them. There we go. And essentially what a UI grid layout is going to do is everything that is inside of the frame that contains a UI grid layout will be automatically placed in a grid format. So when I copy this frame, it's automatically going to position it into a grid according to the properties that you can find over here. So I'll just copy and paste this frame a few times, and you can see it's automatically positioning the frames to create this kind of grid, which is pretty cool. So like whenever you see an inventory inside of a game, this is probably what they're using to sort all of the inventory items inside of the inventory. Now after UI grid layout, we have UIListLayout, which is similar. It's going to automatically position things just like the grid layout, except this time instead of putting it into like a grid where it kind of, how do I explain this? It creates different rows as it goes down. A UI list layout will only go vertically or horizontally. It won't fill in like a grid layout. So as you can see, I placed these frames, which you can't really tell, but I'll add some padding here. And you'll notice, one second, that they are separated by this small space going down vertically. And we can change that from vertical, we can make it horizontal. But yeah, it won't create a grid where it'll just like fill in the square, but it'll make it go in a row to the left or right, or horizontally or vertically. Now, the next thing that we have is called UIPageLayout. And honestly, this element seems very useful, but I am unpracticed with it. And I think that I'm going to possibly put out a future tutorial on how to use it once I learn how to use it more for myself. So I apologize for that. I don't even really know how to explain it. Like, I'm on the documentation and it makes sense, but it's hard to explain. But yeah, I would read up on it yourself. But yeah, expect a future video on UI page layout from me in the future once I learn how to use it more. There's another element that I did miss called UI padding. I'm just going to ignore this one though. I never use it. I know what it is. It adds blank space between one UI element and another one. But honestly, I just manually position my stuff. So I don't really need to use a UI padding to recreate this blank space between an object and another object. I'll just move the frame myself. Now the next element that we have is called UIScale, and essentially it's just going to resize whatever frame or element the UI scales inside of to a multiplier. So scale right now is set to 1, so essentially it's going to take frame size, multiply it by 1, and return the size for whatever that equals. But if we change it to say like 1.2, it'll make it 20% bigger, change to 1.5, 50% bigger, 2 times, 100% bigger, etc., etc. Now, the next element that we have is called the UISizeConstraint. Again, this is an element that I never ever use, but it does what the name says. It constrains the size to a certain value. So basically, the element size will never get bigger than whatever properties that you set over here in max size and min size. I never use it, so you probably don't have to use it either. But if you guys have a use for it, please post it down in the comments below so somebody else might learn from it. The next element that we have is called UIStroke. This one's very useful. It's going to add an outline to whatever element the UI stroke is inside of, and you can change the color of it. It's really cool. Next element that we have is called the UITableLayout. Again, this is kind of like UI page layout where I don't know enough about it, so I apologize for that. And you're just going to have to search up UITableLayout documentation Roblox on Google yourself to see what it's used for. It's going to be similar to UIListLayout or UIGridLayout, but I'm just not exactly sure what the difference is, so I will continue using UIList and UIGrid rather than UITable. The very next element that we're going to have for ourselves is called UITextSizeConstraint, which again, as the name suggests, it's going to keep the text size at a set size. This is another element that I never use for my UIs, but if you want to use it, you can. You can see right here, there's 2 properties, min text size, max text size. Max text size, self-explanatory, the biggest size it can be. Min text size, self-explanatory, smallest the text can be. You can change those values to whatever you want if you deem this necessary. The very next element that we have is called VideoFrame. Now this is brand new, and personally I've never used it before, but I'm assuming that we can put a video inside of here, which is crazy to think about, that you can upload a video onto Roblox and put inside of your games now. But I'm assuming that this is going to be similar to like uploading an image to Roblox, where when you upload an image to Roblox, there's a specific asset ID that image gets. So when you upload a video to Roblox, similarly to an image, you'll have like a video ID. And then I'm assuming that you place that video ID somewhere inside the properties inside of this inside of this element. I don't quite see where you would put it though yet. So, oh yeah, right here. So down here inside of video, I'm assuming that you would type in the asset ID for that video, and that video would be displayed there. So I haven't used it before, but I'm sure I'll make a separate tutorial on how to use it because I want to learn. And last but not least, we have ViewportFrame. Now, viewport frames are amazing. Essentially, you can display 3D objects inside of a 2D frame, which is really, really cool. Again, this is going to call for an entirely other new tutorial on how to actually use it, but I'm quickly setting it up here so you can actually see what it's going to do, I have a UI up at the very top left. You can see it's an invisible box and you don't see anything inside of it yet. But when I put a camera inside of the UI, as well as a part, an actual part inside of the viewport frame, you can now see that there is a part displayed inside of the viewport frame, which is really cool. And you can even change some properties inside of this camera if you wanted to move it all around. Really neat. We'll be going deeper into this later on. Anyways, guys, that is going to conclude episode 1 of my Intro to UI on Roblox series. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, please like the video. Leave some comments down below on what you want to see in the future for potential future videos. Tell me what I can improve on. Just tell me what you guys think. And if you have any information that you want to share with other people, maybe touch up on some topics that I missed, maybe explain what a UI page layout is or a table layout to some people, that would be awesome. Subscribe to the channel for more. And honestly, guys, thank you for watching. Expect a lot more from this channel. It's all coming soon.